in a world. What up, familia? All right, cool. So we have a cool show for you tonight. This is WitsitGetsIt with Steven Dragon, who is very cool. I vibe with him quite a bit. So yeah, should be a cool show. Episode 4, smash the like button, help us with the algorithms, and enjoy the intro because it may be replaced soon. All right, so without further ado, we'll let him introduce himself. So here we go. How are you doing today, brother?
Hey, Austin. I'm doing well, man. Excited to be in your show. Love your intro. Excited for the new one. Did you make that, by the way?
Yeah, it took forever.
Yeah, I bet I do some 3D animation as well. So yeah, I'm Steven Dragon. Y'all can call me Steven or Dragon, whatever you like. I just moved to Arkansas from Austin, Texas, and I was known as Dragon there. I did a lot of personal development work, health coaching, and it was a very fun chapter in my life that I am excited to complete, and I'm starting a new chapter here in Arkansas. I am someone who believes that we can do everything ourselves and to question everything. So I love this show and how we really are taught, or how we're encouraged to think about everything. That sounds kind of lame, but it's amazing how many rabbit holes we go through and how often our reality is suddenly transformed. And to be able to keep a mind open enough to receive new ideas that can be totally life-changing. And I have done a lot of different stuff in my life. I have a very diverse background. So I don't want to go into too much all at once because it kind of sounds a little pompous. But what I will say is I've been an inventor and an entrepreneur since I was a teenager. And I've been very successful. I've made lots of money, lost lots of money, lived without money. And I've had my paradigm completely blown apart again and again and again. And I hope to share some of that with you all, specifically today around health and fasting and how we can take back our health. And health, just like so many other topics, almost everything we're taught about it is false. And it sounds just like everything else. It sounds unbelievable that our reality could be so backwards. But I think health is one of those areas that we have a lot of power over because we do get to decide what we put into our bodies, but most of us aren't aware of what we're putting into our bodies. So I haven't done an introduction in a while on a show. So let me step back for y'all, and I'll try to be quick, and then we can get the conversation rolling.
Cool. Like what? So yeah, you pretty much covered what I would basically say about you. So I want to throw this out here though real fast. I don't know if I'm interrupting you, but you did mention something about homesteading.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. So you will fit right in with the familia here because I know a lot of people that follow me think that's the move forward. So yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah. Well, how about I throw you all my background in chronological order, and then you can see how I got to where I am.
Perfect.
So my father died when I was about 6 from diabetes. And before that, he was very sick. And so I spent a lot of time with my grandparents, and they had a farm, and they grew almost everything they had, and they had more than enough for everybody, and did a form of permaculture and restoration or regenerative agriculture. So I grew up thinking that that's how our food was. So I had a very different background in just how our food was developed. And then in school, I was held back because I didn't know we were supposed to turn in our homework. And so instead of somebody telling me that, they just made me redo everything. And that was absurd. And then I was put into special ed in first grade. And then a few years later, I was in all the gifted programs. Like, it's amazing how bad our education system is. It's random where you end up sometimes. And through school, I excelled. I did really well. I had a lot of scholarships for college, a couple different full rides. I ended up transferring a few times. And while I was in school, right before I was graduating in my packaging class, I went for engineering initially. And my last semester, I learned about hemp packaging. And I was like, oh, hemp, this is the problem to our pollution, or the solution to our pollution problems. I want to make a hemp packaging company. And I realized that'd be illegal to do. My mind is like exploded. And someone mentioned the book, The Emperor Wears No Clothes by Jack Hare. I highly recommend that book if you haven't read it. It's the history of cannabis. And so graduated and I became a medical marijuana caregiver. I did that for 5 years, helped change the laws in Michigan. And I did it all legally, but it's bullshit that that's even a thing. And I wanted to get more into activism. So in 2013, I moved to New Mexico, and I worked on a PhD there for a little bit. And while I was there, I started advocating for alternative currency systems. And the idea was that we have the technology, a small community of people can own the means of production. We can literally make almost everything we need for under a few $100,000 with tools. So if we share those tools in the community, we can produce everything we need out of recyclable materials. And when you start thinking about things that way, you start realizing, well, we don't need money for this. We need to start thinking in terms of resources. So I became very interested with the Venus Project and the Zeitgeist Movement, which advocate for a resource-based economy. Really cool idea. Often when you mention to people, they think you're a communist, not realizing that we're in a communist state already. But I didn't make a lot of progress with that. I tried creating a few different communities and discovered that trauma was a huge problem. Whenever we have a lot of people trying to live together, it works great for a little while, and then suddenly people just don't get along anymore. And so I started studying communities and why these weren't working. And I didn't know until about a year ago, so I'll get back to that in a second. But then I went down another rabbit hole about regeneration and how we grow our food. I'd also recommend the book Restoration Agriculture by Mark Shepard. He's amazing. So whether you want to be doing homesteading on your own or in a community, knowing how to grow an abundant amount of food while healing the environment is really important. And so on this path of trying to create community, as many people have, and failing as many people do, I became really frustrated, and I went into the path of personal development. I thought, okay, well, something's wrong with me. I'm just not fit to be a community leader. And so for the past 6 years, I've been in leadership and taking every personal development program out there. Maybe not everyone, but quite a few. And at one of the workshops, there was this woman I met, and she claimed to have the cure for trauma. I was like, well, that's a lot of crap. And I made a bet with her. I said, well, I'll take your program if you can prove to me that you can cure trauma. And she did. In a single session, like, we resolved a couple issues that I had. So it was basically a $20,000 bet I lost. And I entered her 2-year program. And it's been amazing. During this time, I was going through a long breakup, and it was the most traumatic relationship in my life. And every day I was just getting better and better. I was able to handle more and more. And it was so amazing. I stayed in the relationship even though I knew how toxic it was becoming, because it was bringing up more stuff for me to realize that I could heal. And I ended up leaving that relationship better than I've ever felt, and leaving her in a better place also. And meeting the perfect woman for me. And I have so many stories just about all of that. I would love to talk about it sometime. But anyway, she created a product line about health, detox, cleansing, and nourishment. And it was just a perfect complement for everything I was doing. At this point now in my life, I'm looking at it's called integral theory. You can look at Ken Wilber to learn more about it, or basically holistic thinking, where you can look at the 4 different perspectives of reality, which you can use for healing, you can use for community design, for everything. It's really cool. It's all about consciousness. And I think we'll talk more about that in a bit. But sorry, I'm going all over the place still. The last piece that I want to share with y'all, and we can talk more, is actually, I'm going to pause right there. That's a lot. That's way more than I intended to share. I apologize for the monologue. But
no, you're good. That's cool. I want people to kind of get to know you, bro. Because yeah, we for those in the chat, we chatted and just like I instantly vibed with him. I liked his vibe. It was very easy, non-forced conversation. Seems like a very genuine guy, so I liked it quite a bit. So who better to have on? And I brought up the homestead thing because you kind of brought up health being one of, like, you know, just like everything nowadays, a massive lie. Illness, what causes illness, how to heal it, perpetual state of illness with what they call cures. And they don't aim to cure anything. And homesteading does seem to be a huge solution to that, as we are bombarded with poison everywhere, right? So yeah, I was very intrigued when I heard you were moving and interested in homesteading, because I think a lot of people that are looking into the truth now end up at that same place where they're like, oh, well, the solution is grow your own food, stop eating their poison, cleanse your system, right? And learn about the stuff we were lied to health-wise. So yeah, I think that's very cool. I think that almost every truther I know right now ends up there. You know, they end up in that same spot. Or like, let's get some fruit trees or something, you know. So yeah, it's very cool. We're on the same wavelength.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. 2 years ago now, I invited about 60 different friends out to a property we had, which was about 200 acres. And we bought a couple hundred fruit trees. And I just had everybody plant one. And we did it. It was called the Humanitry. This is what the event was called. And you dug a hole. You buried your feet in the hole. You stood there. It was super grounding for people. You stayed in the hole for half an hour. And then after you were done, you pull out all the dirt again and you put the tree there. But what I didn't expect was people were having like breakdowns and quasi-psychedelic experiences and stuff. It never connected with the earth in such a way. And it forever changed a lot of people. This act of planting fruit trees in the ground. They wanted to come back regularly to see how their trees were doing. And they became way more interested in nature. It's amazing how people have never even planted a single fruit tree. And that is one of the really important things to think about, is how our food is grown is absurd. We only plant, almost our entire diet is annuals, which means seeds that we plant every year.
Hey,
while
thanks
we
for
have
coming on, Steve.
perennials that produce
God bless.
way more food for way less work, and it's way healthier. And we don't do that. So yes, plant fruit trees, plant nut trees, learn about permaculture, do that. And once you do it, it produces natural abundance, because unlike an annual seed where you get the same crop every year and you invest the same amount of time and money every year, when you plant a tree, you get exponentially more every year for no more work. It's amazing. It's so obvious, but yet people don't think about it. So yeah, start homesteading, do it on your own if you want. I highly encourage community, and I would like to talk more about some of the roadblocks that we will likely hit, because there has been so much effort into destroying our ability to even be in community with each other. And that's where my passion and my focus is now in the work I'm doing.
Yeah, it's very cool, man. Like, yeah, and it trips me out too. Not to the people don't see that this place is like so majestic, or because that one little seed, you know, it just turns into like an overwhelming amount of abundance. Um, yeah, it's crazy. It seems like the more I learn, it's not really as much that there's some magical thing that you take that will heal you of everything. It's just like getting out of the way and just like letting nature do it. You know, like we're sick because we don't do that. We're sick because we just like bog our bodies down with nonsense constantly, like nonstop, just eat poison. And really it's just like the cure, quote unquote, is just right in front of us, which is that our body naturally takes care of itself, and then nature gives you what you need in abundance and variety. Yeah, it's like I've realized we live in a very blessed time because we have access to variety, and back in the day they didn't. You know, you eat the same thing, maybe something different was a delicacy, and now we could grow. Like I can get some land and I can grow a ton of different fruit in my backyard. It's no problem. I'm not a king. Back in the day, I would have to be a king to do that. So we should really, it's just like crazy how detached we've become from that. So yeah, maybe what's your take on that? The overall spell that's been cast on people. We can't get into too much detail, obviously, about the last 3 years or anything like that, but just with illness in and of itself, like the fear of modern illness and what you think maybe kind of causes people to get in that state of perpetual illness. And yeah, what do you think about like the cure? Like what's kind of your input on any of that maybe?
Yeah, that's a great topic. So you kind of hinted at it. I want to say it, which was we already have everything we need to heal ourselves. And the mistake most people make is they think they have to do something for that to happen. They think that, oh, I have to do something or go to somebody to heal me. They think it's an action. When the reality is it's actually inaction. So what I mean by that is we aren't supposed to eat every day. Our body does a lot of different things, but when we're doing one thing, it prevents our body from doing the other thing. So if we're busy digesting food, our healing system is actually turned off. When we're not eating, our healing system will turn on. We go into this deep state of healing. And I actually have a bunch of stickers that I give out with the products that I sell. And what this is about fasting. And when we fast, our body goes through these different stages. And it takes us into a state of deep healing. I'm going to overgeneralize stuff in the beginning. We can go into more details and more specifics for people who are interested in that. But I think one of the worst things that's happened to us, so we have a lot of blessings and curses, and I see them both ways, is we have so much abundance around us that people don't go any time without eating. I'm willing to bet that about 90% of the people in this chat have never gone more than a day without food. And they think that's a blessing. And that's actually a curse. We are designed to go long periods of time without food. And when we do that, our body will take any damaged cells and recycle them into healthy cells. And if we don't have this process happen, which is called autophagy, they become disease cells or cancer cells, and they lead to all kinds of problems. We're meant to store fat on our body, then burn that fat off through this time where we don't have food. But most people don't do that. There is no excuse for a person to be obese at all. None. All you have to do is stop eating. Not only will you lose weight, you will look better, feel better, and heal whatever ailments you might have. And nobody's healing you. There's no cure. You are healing yourself. All you're doing is getting out of your own way for your body to heal yourself. It's really that simple. I won't go into specifics because I know we're not allowed to say this kind of stuff, which is more evidence if you want, but it's amazing. So I think that, yes, food and diversity is a blessing, but it's also a curse because people are turning off their healing system and then they're becoming hooked on the different cartel drugs that are available. And there's a couple other things that are really interesting with food I want to hit on really quick. If you start learning about mycelium or how mushrooms grow and all these different symbiotic relationships that there are, and if you take the more indigenous perspective that we aren't our body, but we are our environment, you will realize the importance of homesteading also. If you're composting your own waste, the mycelium will actually create the specific antibiotics that are necessary, and you put it in the food. And when you eat that, it will feed it back to you. That's why, like, if you have allergies, you probably have allergies from, like, that's my symbol for something.
Jabs, yeah.
But if you have allergies, one of the things people do is they consume local honey. And this is a really cool effect. That's why local matters a lot, because we're taking from our local environment. When we consume something, it signals our body to not react to it if we receive it another way. Now, science is like really cool. I have to be very careful with how I say some things here. But this is why sometimes there's certain poisons or things that are put into our foods, because it will actually turn off our immune response to those things if we experience them any other way. So it makes us more prone to certain diseases or illnesses or viruses or whatever. So it is very important to know what we're putting in our body, because you could be self-sabotaging. And when you're not sure, it's also really important to be empowered enough to know that, look, you don't have to eat. If you're in a place where you don't feel like the food is safe, go a day, 2, 3, a week, whatever, without eating. Don't feel like you have to poison yourself to make somebody else happy. That's absurd. And I hope to talk a lot about fasting today with you. And that's one of those miracles that's right there for all of us. That's free. It doesn't cost anything. And if you're broke and you need to save up for something else, it's also a great way to save money. That is probably the best thing that has been given to us, is the benefits of fasting.
Dude, it's incredible. This has been known for like all of history too. That's what's so crazy. Yeah. I mean, every spiritual belief or quote unquote religion, every ancient civilization, they knew that fasting was like super clutch. It was like the cheat code. And I have actually had an incredible experience fasting where I effectively tripped, and it was crazy, bro. Just fasting. I mean, I've prayed and fasted, and dude, I felt like I was tripping, but it was like really clean, and I could see geometric patterns, and it was crazy, bro. And I had a lot of revelations. So I don't even think it's just the surface level, like it's incredible for our body, but it's like so deep, right? Like what it does, like what your body can accomplish when it's resetting it, from my experience. And I'm not like a fasting vet, you know, I should fast more and longer than I do, which I do intend on doing. But I do intermittent fasting for as long as I can remember at this point. Like I do intermittent fasting for so many years at this point. It's just natural for me. But I think that's at least a good start. What would you say about that, intermittent fasting?
Yeah, intermittent fasting. I fast. My partner she'll only do intermittent fasting. But after about 12 hours, you do go into autophagy and you get some of the benefits. So, by the way, if you don't know what intermittent fasting is, basically that means that you're narrowing your window of what you're eating. So you might, for me, on an ideal day, I'll eat when I wake up, and then my last meal by maybe 4. So that's like an 8-hour eating window, which oftentimes I'll have it smaller, but it's not eating all day. So you're giving your body that time to rest. and you get some benefits. You don't get the deep healing benefits. Other really cool things. So I mentioned I did a lot of personal development, and with that, I was doing a lot of Tantra, and that was really wild. I've had some very sober psychedelic experiences through Tantra and breath work. And I'll say the energy is very real. And I think when you're fasting, you're cleansing so much that for some people, they might actually activate their pineal gland, and they'll become more psychic and see different things. So there's a lot of different things that can happen. The brain's wild. And when it's working really well, you can tap into a lot of things that you didn't know were possible.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I won't even go into too much detail. But it was just crazy. So yeah, I think. But by the way, we don't like censor on the show, other than just I don't want to get kicked off YouTube. You know, like, viruses. Like, people that have been watching my show, I don't buy any of mainstream pharmakeia. I think it's sorcery. I don't believe any of it. I don't. I'm a terrain theory proponent. We're deceived on an immense level when it comes to health, for obvious reasons. Yeah. And it's also it's so useful for control, because fear is how they control people, and it's so hard to break through people. It's like I was talking to my wife about this. Everyone probably here has experience with someone in their family or friends, or friends of your family, whatever, where they're facing some type of serious ailment or illness, and they'd rather die than just stop eating.
Yeah.
It's insane, bro. It's like they don't even consider it.
It's an addiction. Eating has become an addiction. If you look at what's in the food, if you look at what's in processed food, it contains some of the most addictive substances known to man. Literally, our food is more addictive than most of the hard drugs out there. So
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, if you study food science, your mind will be blown about like flavor exciters, all these kinds of things that they put in there. It's diabolical.
Dude, and they even use crazy stuff to make the flavor enhancement, like fetal cell replicated fusa. Yeah, I think that's crazy, bro. Like, people will flood their body with radiation prior to not eating. Like, isn't it just worth a try, though? Like, I'll just die. I'm not trying to sound like heartless, or it kind of makes me mad, because when you tell people, it's like, I love you, bro. I love you. I want you to realize your body's incredible. It's like this incredible machine, and it's like a gear, and you're just clogging it down. You won't even let it work, and then you're gonna complain about how it's not working, and then it sucks, because they almost get mad at you because they're scared. Like, what are you going to tell them? Like, don't take that medicine. Don't listen to the doctor. And just stop eating. It's crazy, because I'm sure after this post, people will be in the comments, they're just not going to let go of their food, man. They're like junkies. They can't even do intermittent fasting, bro. It's sad. It's, I hope that we can motivate some people to realize that the power to really like elevate your state of energy and health, it's free. It's literally just free. It's just sitting inside of you. Yeah, it's very crazy, man. It's very crazy how they pulled that off.
Well, I love that you used the word junkie, because junk food, like, is literally what it is. It gets you hooked. One of the things I would love to accomplish with a community of people is to create a space, like a healing center, where people can go and they aren't tempted with food. You go there, it's a retreat, you're on people that you enjoy, and you're given electrolyte water and some stuff to help you detox, and you can go on a fast. It's easy to fast we do it all the time. Like, we don't realize it. We just get so focused on the idea of, oh my God, I'm not going to eat. We're focusing on the idea of eating. But how many times have you skipped a meal because you were busy or doing something fun? So I'm going to jump to like this product really quick. I wanted to fast for years, and it was hard. I had all kinds of addictions. I've gone through everything most of people have to, um, and I was researching. I was just so interested in fasting, but I didn't want I didn't want to do it, and it was hard. And so I ended up creating a product that's designed to help make fasting a lot easier. And that's what Dragon's Blends are. These are 4 different electrolyte mixes that make fasting a lot easier. And the hard part with fasting is that, and it helps understand this, I'm going to explain right now, is that a lot of times when we are hungry, we aren't actually hungry. Our body is craving electrolytes. So if we give our body what it actually desires, those food cravings go away. Also, if we're in a space where we're not stressed, that's the other thing that they've done to us, is that most people are in a stressed state all the time. So they can't be reflective or paying attention. But if you are in a space where you're not stressed and you're fasting, you'll notice that, oh, this is my feeding time. I'm hungry. I didn't eat. An hour passes. I'm not hungry. Wait, I didn't eat and I'm not hungry. How does that make sense? So you start to learn that hunger isn't your body saying it needs food. It's actually a conditioned response, or it's anticipating something to happen. Or it's the bacteria in your gut releasing certain chemicals that will signal your brain. This is a really cool fact that I'm sure many of you know, but we have 3 brains. We have our brain in our head, brain in our heart, and brain in our gut. And the gut has about as many neurons as our head brain. And so it's responsible for a lot. And our heart is also responsible for a lot. And our biome is also responsible for a lot. So how we feed ourselves determines our behavior. If we change your diet, you can actually change somebody's attitude, the way somebody thinks, how happy or sad they are. So people who consume a lot of sugar are more prone to depression. And people who have a lot of salt have more like anger and stuff. And now when I say salt or sugar, I'm referring to how they appear on a label. This is something that you may not know, but if something just says salt, not sea salt, not Himalayan salt, not kosher salt, just salt, it's actually a petroleum waste product. That's technically a salt, but it is highly toxic to the human being. And the reason salt, just a 4-letter word, causes high blood pressure is it's poison. And your heart is trying to pump it away so it doesn't do damage. So it will elevate your heart rate to pump it away and try to eliminate it from your body. And people keep giving themselves salt all the time. Any restaurant will serve salt, table salt. It's so bad for you. So make sure you get a good source of salt. Mined salt's great, or a sea salt. Himalayan salts are great. And that's one of the things that I have in these mixes is a safe to consume salt. And that will allow you to not have those food cravings, because your body, salt acts as a catalyst for burning fat. If you need more energy, you need more salt. So high performance athletes consume tons of electrolytes. They're not eating that entire time because they can't be high performance while eating. So they're burning through their fat reserves that way. And having the right balance of salts, potassium and magnesium, is super important. I used to have restless leg syndrome. About 10% of men, the male population, has what's called RLS, or restless leg syndrome. The symptoms are when you try and relax, your legs start to feel like ants are crawling up them. You just can't relax. That's a sign of your salts being out of balance. This product, I drink some before going to bed. I don't have that anymore. I had it for 20 years. And this was it. That's all I needed. I got put on all kinds of drugs that caused all kinds of problems trying to solve this stuff. And weed was the only thing that worked before. But this actually all my body needed. I was out of balance. Wow. And so there's so many things like this out there. I'll talk more about this in a minute, but I'll let you jump in.
Oh no, that's cool, man. I have been drinking the blends, right? And I think they're incredible, dude. I'm not just saying that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they're just like all I drink pretty much all the time. And they're awesome, all of them. Um, so yeah, I am not. I'm not really agreeing to suggest them for any reason other than I actually think it's super dope, and I think this would be so amazing for the world for them to realize what we're talking about. I mean, you're never going to get the whole world on board with pretty much anything, but if just a large amount of people would stop eating so much, and they're like, oh, Austin, that's easy for you to say, because I'm skinny or whatever. It's like, shouldn't I be more hungry or something? I don't know. Like, just don't do it. Just don't do it. Like, just try it. Because I know so many people that have been able to regulate immense amounts of body weight, energy levels, you name it, focus abilities by fasting. Even intermittent fasting has helped people so much. And I can only imagine. I want to start to kind of level up where I go longer durations because I had that like trippy experience like under 3 days. So I can't even imagine, I can't even imagine really. And I think I eliminated a lot of distractions and stuff too when I did it. So I think that may have helped. But yeah, I mean, I'm being reiterative, but I just I hope that we break that little initial instinct to push back people have so they can just kind of soak in the information, which is why I'm like trying to like kind of kick the door down a little bit because we are bombarded with stuff like the salt thing's a good example. Like who think like you would never know that, right? Like you're just gonna go buy salt and put it on your food. There's just salt everywhere. You just go out to eat, just put the salt on your food, and it's not what your body needs at all. It's bad for you, but they don't care. They don't care that it's bad for you. They almost want it to be bad for you, right? Because the same people that own the major food companies own where you go when it makes you get sick. Yep. So it's crazy, man. It's a crazy vicious cycle. You said that you just drink some of that before you go to sleep and it helped with your ILS, huh?
Well, so what happened was I did a 9-day fast. And on that fast, I had some major, by the way, that fast was an accident. I had just moved. This was about a year ago. And I got sick. And so I didn't have any food in the house. And but I already had this mix. And so I went 2 or 3 days and I just started feeling good. I'm like, I'm not going to eat. This is great. And I wanted to see how long I could go. And I do a lot of socializing, go to a lot of different conscious parties. And at that one, I was a potluck and I ended up drinking some coconut water and breaking my fast that way. But what happened during that time was that I didn't have any RLS symptoms. I didn't have any pain anymore. I didn't have any joint pain. My sleep was amazing. I was sleeping about 6 hours a night. I normally sleep 9. And I was waking up on my own. I had so much energy. I believe in movement, by the way, not exercise. So I was moving a lot. And it was just, I felt so good. I didn't want it to stop. I just wanted to keep doing this. And every day I looked better and better. And everybody's commenting on like, what are you doing? And I loved it. And so I started coaching some of my friends into fasting and sharing this product with them. And they were having a lot more success too, because they tried fasting before and it made it a lot easier for them. So I ended up making it a natural product that I want to share with all of you. And yes, this was all I would drink. So I replaced all my water with it. And I would drink, I want to say 6 servings a day. That's about what I was averaging, 6 to 8 servings. And so one of these bottles, this is a 16 ounce by volume bottle, or jar, I mean, it produces 400 Gatorade bottles. So if you do the math, That's a lot of money. And people drink Gatorade. Gatorade is so bad for you, and they promote that to athletes, and it just destroys them. And so I'm hoping that people will at least replace their electrolytes. If you were just, you don't have to fast. The first step you do is you get this, replace all your drinks with it. I would recommend, if this is the only thing you were changing in your life, I would get coal, which is, it's no flavor, or fire and coal. And the reason I would choose one of these two is having good electrolytes allows your body to run properly. You're going to feel what your body is meant, how it's meant to work. Your muscles are going to work better. Your mind's going to start working better. The reason I recommend the ones with coal in it is it has activated charcoal in it too. So most people don't drink filtered water, or they have crappy filters. So the activated charcoal will help pull out some of those chemicals. It's called adsorption, not absorption, but adsorption. And this is also amazing when you're fasting. The other reason fasting is so hard for people is that when you fast, you go into detox. So when you detox, if you haven't detoxed in a long time, or you're full of toxins, which you are if you eat processed food, you will feel really sick because all those toxins are being released to your body again, and now they're circulating in your body, and you're just going to feel like you have a flu. It's called Herxheimer's. So having charcoal in your system at all times, that charcoal will bind to it and it pulls it out of your system. So you don't get the side effects of fasting. So that'll make your fast a lot easier. So that's another huge benefit. So that's why I'd recommend one of those too.
Yeah, very cool, man. And yeah, activated charcoal is like a hidden secret. I didn't even know about activated charcoal until our summit. David Avocado Wolf was at our summit, and he just wouldn't stop talking about the activated charcoal. He's like everything, and yeah, it's real. Like my wife got stung on the foot, activated charcoal on the foot, instantly, just no pain, just went away. It just soaks all these toxins in. It's incredible. And from my understanding, like basically when you fast, your body starts to kind of weed these toxins out. And so throw the charcoal in there, right? And it's just going to soak them up, which is pretty brilliant. And yeah, I love the fire coal. I drink it a lot. I drink it a lot. Like even if I'm gonna like work out, that's what I drink. I drink it all the time. It gets to where you're kind of like, you could tell that you are missing it. You know what I'm saying? Like if I don't drink it for a little bit, I'm like, wait a minute, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's noticeably different. So yeah, very cool. So then the charcoal basically is like flavorless. And then you have the fire and coal, which got a little kick flavor with the electrolytes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the cayenne pepper, which is what the fire is great for helping with inflammation. So if you're somebody who has joint pain or anything else, it helps reduce, or rather not reduce, but manage your inflammation. And it has a lot of other health benefits too. And when it's mixed with charcoal, it's not as spicy. So I have fire, which doesn't have the charcoal in it, so it's more spicy. It's still not too spicy, but it's more spicy. I know we're at about the hour mark, and I want to share a couple ideas I had with you. And I think this will hopefully be interesting for your viewers. I would like to run a group fast with you. And as an incentive for people to sign up, I'm going to be offering a lot of free gifts. So I have what's called a whole body, whole life reset kit. And I sell it for $1,622. So $1,622. It's a 3-month program of a full detox, full cleanse, full nourishment. That's what it's got. Got a ton of products in it. And that's for people who are really serious about wanting to live their healthiest and best life and find out what it would feel like if everything was working properly in your body. Now, that is something I only sell to people I know right now. And so what I would like to do is to have us set up a group fast for anybody who wants to participate. And I'll offer for everybody who orders from you and participates in this $500 coupon off of this package. And additionally, I have a few ideas for little contests in there that we could have. Then I'll give away other prizes for people who participate. So I'm thinking like most supportive person, most transformed, and most inspiring person. Like those three would be fun prizes to have, where we take daily check-ins. We see how we're doing. We take a photo of ourselves. We have a picture of our ketone levels. So you can get these little ketone strips, which let you know when you're in ketosis. And that's when you're burning, that's when you're fully in your fast. You're burning fat, not muscle. And when you're at that point, fasting becomes really easy. So then it's just, and that's what people also need to know is fasting is hardest the first day. The first 1 to 3 days is the hardest. And then on the 4th day, you're in bliss. You're just feeling good. You're getting all the benefits of fasting. You pass all the hard stuff. So when somebody talks about 9-day fast, a 9-day fast is just as hard as a 3-day or a 3 or 4 day fast. And I would say for our fast, we should aim for like 2 weeks. I'm not suggesting that everybody does a 2-week fast, but I'm saying that we set a 2-week container. The reason for that is when you go beyond 2 weeks, you need to do a couple other things to fast properly. You need to make sure that you have your bowels fully cleared, so you have to do some other things like that. But 2 weeks is safe to do without any of those kinds of things. So for people who are interested in trying fasting for the first time, just ordering one of these from Witsit would be great. And I think we should have a Telegram group set up. And then everybody who participates, I will offer you all some really big discounts for taking your health to the next level.
That's very cool. Yeah. I should have thought about maybe go ahead and making it. But yeah, we just make up a private Telegram group. That would be cool. Telegram's the move. It's the easiest way to communicate and bring people together, share information.
Yeah, what I was thinking we could do is it could either be private or public, probably private, but I have a once a day check-in for anybody who wants to get on video and talk, and I can lead that. And then we'll have a Telegram channel for people who just have questions or whatever they want to go through, and I'll include coaching in there. And for those of you who don't know, this is actually an amazing deal. People will pay thousands of dollars to have a fasting coach help them through what they're doing. And so this is being gifted as a part of this. You'll have at least one person supporting you through your fasting journey. And what's more is helping you eliminate stuff for the rest of your life so you can actually keep getting healthier and healthier and healthier. A fun little fact, I guess I'll call it, is that for every year that you were unhealthy, you weren't taking care of yourself, it takes about 1 month of being focused on being healthy to recover that. So if you're 36, you need 36 months or 3 years of being focused on detoxing, of re-nourishing yourself and everything like that for your body to recover fully from that. And that includes going through multiple fasts during that time and being very mindful of what you're bringing into your body. But if you do that, you can recover from almost anything. And you can you can really live up to your potential if you do that. If you're 48, it's going to take you 4 years of being focused like that. But I'll say that the first 2 weeks to a month is the hardest. And once you're on it, is about making sure that you've set up your environment, your household, so that you aren't tempted to break habits and go back down that rabbit hole. Not rabbit hole, but what do you even call it? Spiraling downwards with junk food or whatever other addictions you might have. So having a community can help a lot with that. And I think it'd be really fun to do this with you all, to have us supporting each other and having this experience. Because once we take back control over our ability to heal, and we have the confidence to be able to say no to what we put in our body, That's what fasting is you're practicing saying no to putting anything in your body. And realizing that you have the discipline to do that is so empowering. And then not to be afraid to have a crisis, but like, well, I can't get food for 2 weeks. You're like, yeah, that's okay. That's absolutely okay. I am fine without food for a couple of weeks. I will look forward to that.
Like, that's such a good point.
That's such afraid.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I've never even thought about like a food situation. Obviously, I promote like some type of self-sustainability for that reason, but yeah, like, oh, we can't get food for a couple weeks. Like, okay, I guess we're fasting. It's no big deal. You know, so, this is it's like a key. It's a little glitch. Yeah.
When during World War II, with the concentration camps, the people who did really well, and they also did experiments during this intentionally, but people who'd give away their food and not eat fared much better than those who were eating a little bit. And this is important to understand, so I'll explain it right now, is that not eating is called fasting. Eating a little bit is called starving. If you are starving yourself, that means you're eating something, so your body doesn't go into ketosis, which means that your body has to burn muscle for energy. If you're in ketosis, your body burns fat for energy. So if you're trying to lose weight and you eat a little bit every day, you're going to be burning muscle, not fat.
That's a trip. You know what's really crazy for me, man, is like I have like really low body fat, you know, like detrimentally, like when I want to get bigger, it's really difficult. But I still don't know. I don't want people to think that this is the only reason to fast is like so you can lose weight. It's not. I can't think of one archetype of person that fasting wouldn't benefit. You know what's really also interesting when you brought up earlier, it's like this is what normally happens to me, right? Like I get so consumed in all the stuff I have going on. Like I have like a million tasks, you know, and I'm just like trying to keep up. And I just forget about eating, bro. Like I just don't think about eating. Or I will for a second, like you said. You're like, you think you're hungry, but then I'm like, oh, I'm like lost in an email. And I'm like, oh, I got to make this website, move this over here, do this. And before I know it, it's been hours, bro. And I haven't thought about eating at all. And it shows it's like this mental thing. And then you connected it there where it's like, well, your body just needs something to like basically sustain it, like sustain hydration, you know? And that right there should make everyone like step back and be like, wait a minute, that's happened to me too. I know it's happened to like everyone here where you were hungry, but then you forgot. And then you weren't hungry. So how does that work? Yeah, I think it's a trip. I've never made it past 3 days, bro. You are saying you get past 3 days, and then so basically you're saying like the difficulty's basically the same for 9 or 3 days, because once you get past that mark, your body just kind of glides through.
For most of the times, yes. There's always going to be, and I don't want people to think something's wrong with them if they try that and it doesn't work. There's other things that can influence what happens, but typically, if you have a smooth transition into ketosis, it becomes very easy because now your body is producing all these beneficial hormones and chemicals. So you actually feel a little high, which is great. You're gonna have higher dopamine levels, higher serotonin levels. You're gonna have higher glucagon levels. You're physically gonna feel better, which also makes you feel better. So if you have like arthritis or body pain or whatever, your inflammation will go down. If you have insulin regulation problems, those will regulate. Your cravings will go away. You're going to have a very stable energy. That's the other thing that's really great is once you're in ketosis, your energy level is stable. When you're not in ketosis, your energy is fluctuating all over the place because your blood sugar levels fluctuating, and that affects how you feel. Also, people don't realize how crappy they feel when they eat. Like there's a lot of stuff we eat that actually makes us feel bad. And you would feel better without that in your system. So yeah, once you get to that point where you don't need food and it's not in your mind and your body's given up, and it's not your body that's given up, it's that the your candida and other bacteria that's releasing these chemicals in your body, it just stops, it dies away, and you start feeling like yourself. And that's what I really want to emphasize, is that when you fast long enough, you will start to realize who you are and what it feels like to be you. Not what it feels like to be under the influence of different chemicals, different foods, or like, I mean chemicals. Like there's a lot of chemicals in there. Those chemicals do affect how you feel. Brain fog, depression, a lot of stuff is from food. So it's really exciting. And so yeah, what I would recommend for somebody like, well, you and me, is to pay attention to, we can calculate about how much body fat we have. So even if you're low body fat, I wouldn't want anybody to go really go under 7%, unless they have done a lot of research on their own on how to do this. But if you're at like, I mean, think about it. If you weigh 150 pounds, 1% body fat, or sorry, 1% of your weight is 1.5 pounds. So if you're 10% body fat, that means you have about 15 pounds of fat. If you were to go down to 7, that would mean that you have about 4.5 pounds of body fat you could burn before you get to that point. Now, when I fast, I burn about 3/4 pound of fat a day.
Wow.
So that math is like a half to 3/4. So if I was doing a half, that's a 9-day fast you could do. And you would burn 4.5 pounds. Now, if you're really active, it can be more. And some people, you'll also, bigger people will lose up to 2 pounds a day. And that, I want to explain a little bit, because this is kind of disgusting, but it's also really cool. Is a lot of people who are really overweight aren't just overweight because they have a lot of fat that they're carrying because they ate too much. Fat is where we store toxins. Some people can't lose weight because they are so toxic. Their body literally won't let them burn that weight because it'll release all these toxins in their body and would kill them and make them really sick. So when you're detoxing properly, you can lose weight really quickly because your body wants to release all of that. So there's actually, beyond just the fat, there's all this chemical waste and products in your body that it can excrete and release, and that will shed too. So you can lose like a pound of toxins a day on top of the pound of fat.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I was just thinking about that. It's pretty wild to think about. Yeah, I think this is super cool. Imagine if just a bunch of people from this community, mostly just like the real ones, are here for this show. We don't get a lot of the haters on this show, so it's much better vibes. Just imagine if everybody like decided to do that together. A lot of people are going to probably get triggered about this, and they're going to say it's woo-woo or whatever, but I think they know they won't debate me about it, though. We can get into the science of it, but there is like this etheric neural network of sorts. There's like a connection instantaneously at distance, energetically, between people. And intention seems to be the carrier of the information. Now, like I could get into like the science of why I think that intention, it would be what causes the disequilibrium of why we see energy in the physical world, and order requires determination and intention, thus energy kind of is intention. And all that being said, if everyone was to kind of like get on the same page and do something like this, when you said it, I was like, that's actually a really cool idea to think about, like everyone kind of bringing themselves up together, but as like a group where you don't have to be in person. You're feeding off the other person's like energy or experience, basically, especially if you were talking with each other, right? You're like, oh, well, this is what I'm doing. This is how it's going for me. Or you're kind of like, I'm getting kind of hungry. What's up? What are you guys doing? Type thing. Yeah, I really like the idea. I mean, I think it's very cool. I think it, especially like being a group of truth seekers, you know, I think that like being on the same page and doing something like this may be more impactful than people realize it could be. I'm not claiming to know what it would do, but I think it's very interesting because when I look through even ancient literature, this is consistently brought up. The idea of fasting, actually the people they referred to as gods, or even their pharaohs, and there's a whole lot about this, like manna, meaning what then is it? And they say manna fell from the sky, and they'll tell you it's bread, but it means what is it? In Egypt, they had the same thing, manna. Character meaning what then is it that the pharaohs or they call their pharaohs gods sometimes, right? That they would eat, but very rarely, and then they would go long durations of time without eating and really not even overly drinking, and you had found a lot of these higher order city structures didn't really have bathrooms. And so it gets really fascinating. It's like there's something really profound here when it comes to like some type of metaphysical glitch. Of course, even Yeshua in the scriptures specifically went out and didn't eat. He fasted. It's a very overlooked thing. I mean, it's a long way of saying what I've been saying the whole time. Every time I say something, it's just like, I really do encourage people to like consider doing it. I don't know what it's going to hurt. And what if it like changes your life, man? What if you like fasting, you know, like what if, and then you can go maybe give real life testimony to your loved ones that like, I know you're sick. I know you're doing this or that, but try this out. It could change your life. I wish I could get some of my family to listen, man, but it's hard. I think someone has to make their own decision, you know, to want to give their body a chance. But it's just sad. Sometimes I think like, what does the creator think? Like, yo, I gave you like a Bugatti, and you're treating it like a 1992 Honda with a couple 100,000 miles on that doesn't start. Like it's weird to think about how we complain, but really we have like superhuman bodies, basically. I know that was all over the place.
No, it's so true though, and like envy would go away if you could. I don't like how I go into a store now, and you look at even like the children's aisle or whatever. All the people there, like in the underwear section, for example, they're overweight. They're trying to normalize being overweight, and I think that's really harmful. I don't think that being overweight is okay. I think in the past, actually, it was because it represented abundance, but now it represents toxicity. And if they're promoting it, is wrong. But I love the idea of us having a Telegram group where people could hop on any time and just start talking to each other. If you have like that threshold where there's always at least one or two people listening in on it. So a segue into that would be, what do I do when I'm hungry and I'm fasting? The answer is movement. You want to walk. You want to socialize. You want to do something. It is doing something. You're going to find that you have a lot more time. You're going to have hours more in your days, by the way. You might sleep less, bonus time, but even if you slept the same or more, eating takes so much time. So you are actually going to have to find things to do because you're going to have more time than you know what to do with. And I encourage you to move, go for walks, go out with other people, whatever, but don't go to restaurants. And so this is why having other friends, other truthers to talk to during this is going to be great. It's a really good opportunity for us to connect in a new way. And I think it's absolutely okay to be like, hey, who's the most miserable right now? If we can find out who's miserable, like, okay, well, maybe what can we do to support each other? Well, have you gone for a walk today? Like I go for like 4 walks a day or more when I'm fasting. Because when I'm hungry, I'll take a nap, I'll walk, I'll always drink first, but that's the first thing you do is you drink some electrolytes. Whenever you're feeling the hunger kick in, drink first. And you can do that even when you're not fasting. It's a good habit to get into. It's because there's a delay in our body from when we get what we need to when our system recognizes it. And so if you wait like 20 minutes, your hunger might go away on its own, and you'll find that you eat less anyway. By the way, I built into this blend some other things to help with detoxing too. It's super great. You're going to feel much better if you switch just your beverage to this.
Yeah, it seems like something most people on this channel drink clean water, right? Like,
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Like almost everyone here is going to be drinking clean water. If not, I'm checking you right now because you have no excuse. I mean, if you've been in this community for any period of time, obviously they drown our water in chemicals, right? And fluoridated water, blah blah blah. Like day one stuff, the neurotoxin, fluoride, it's terrible for you. All kinds of stuff. But so I think it wouldn't be a huge leap for a lot of people that are here already in this community to just. Most people know drinking water is important. Certainly when you look into like what is water, bro, that's a whole rabbit hole. So just making that change, just like popping some of the blend in your water. It's like second nature to me already. That's just what I do now. I pop it in the water. It's like a requirement for me to make my water now. And you know what's also really funny is when you were talking about like how much time you would have not eating, you also have to make the food usually. So either you're gonna go or you're gonna make it and then eat it. So it's like really that's the time consuming thing is like making the food, bro. You're like you might have more time, you know what to do with it. Like I don't know if that's possible, man. I'm like drowning and stuff. We'll see, but yeah, that's a trip. I didn't even think about that. I guess when I think back, I did have a lot of time, but yeah. So
especially people who are in like the 9 to 5 kind of environment where like, oh, this is my hour before work that I would do this, and this is my hour lunch break, and then this other break, or like you get those breaks, and well, I used to just eat on all my breaks, and now what do I do?
Right.
So those kinds of people who.
Yeah.
Then dinner, they come home and they have like an hour or 2 hours for taking care of dinner.
Right. Yeah, that would be a huge game changer. I was thinking too, like that's going to be the question, right? Like, well, I have to go to work, and I have my lunch break. Maybe some people like I work out on this day. I will say, man, I work out in the mornings and I don't eat food, so I mean, I'm not telling anyone to go in there and like be super lightheaded, don't drink any water, don't drink any food, go super crazy in the gym and then blame it on me, man. But all I'm saying is I work out in the mornings and I don't eat food. So it's not a problem. It's for sure a thing that you can do. But that would be the question, right? People are going to immediately in their mind, something about food. It's more than any drug, bro. When I try to talk to people about food, dude, it's like they want to fight you or something. It's like you're personally attacking them if you dare insinuate they don't eat food for a little bit. But that's what they're going to say is they immediately think of ways why they can't do it, which we experience this all the time as a community. People don't even want to hear you out. They're just like looking for a reason why not to let you make sense. So yeah, that would be the question that people are going to ask, right? They're going to be like, well, my routine is I wake up, I do this, I eat, I go do my work, I have my lunch break, then I leave, I come home, I eat. And they're going to kind of think that they can't like feasibly intertwine fasting with their everyday schedule.
Yeah.
Well,
a couple of things I would say to that. One is I want to address is the idea of working out. So when a lot of people work out, what they're doing is they're trying to tear muscle. You need to tear muscles, that's how you get bulky. But that's one way. The other thing you could do is your body is going to take whatever shape it needs to for whatever lifestyle you live. Whatever you spend most of your time doing, your body is going to acclimate to. So for me, I like to have lots of movement, and that gives me a great body also. I climb a lot, and I spend a lot of time doing that. And I don't lift weights or that kind of stuff anymore. I don't try and injure myself to bulk up. I'm over that. I'm not trying to be somebody else. I want to be able to be active, have lots of fun, lots of energy, that kind of thing. So I live a life where that's what I have to do every day, and my body adapts to that. I believe this is the healthiest way for us. But I think actually working out like at a gym has some detrimental effects for some people. It makes you more prone to injury. But I will say that if you're fasting, focus on movement and not trying to injure those muscles, because you can repair muscle to an extent, but if you're intentionally damaging yourself while you're on a fast, your fast isn't going to go as well. So take it light at the gym. Get lots of movement in though. That's fine. You can do cardio, but keep it light. But do a lot of it. I work out 4 hours a day when I'm fasting, no problem. But I'm not trying to tear myself down, because that's going to make it harder.
Right. That makes sense for sure. And yeah, like I will say that's a rabbit hole too, man. Like I used to have a roommate, and he was like the most in shape dude you're ever gonna, like, in shape, not like huge and like just perfect shape, like a statue, you know. And he just do handstands and all this crazy stuff. He's just doing calisthenics, and he would stretch a lot. He would never do anything that was just like this real intense. He like swore he would never touch a weight again. So yeah, I do think that there's a lot of truth to overdoing this, like forced lift weights, hurting myself. And there's a mixture there, because I think we're naturally built to have physical labor, and after you do physical labor, you're going to be sore. I just think it's a lot of what people do at the gym is unnatural. It's weird. That's another rabbit. Everything in life's a rabbit hole, apparently. But yep. Yeah, I will say I was just saying that I don't eat in the morning, you know, like I intermittent fasting, and I work out in the mornings, and so I'm saying that at the least you guys should consider working your way up to longer fasts by intermittent fasting. I would say try and pop off a day or so. And I'm not the expert on this or anything. Like I said, I've only done like 3 days, like just in 3 days. But it was so incredible for me that, I don't know, what would you say about that? Like, would you say that intermittent fasting is like a step in the right direction? Should they just try to see, like, say they've never really fasted, or they don't have much experience, like, should they just try to pop off, so they just try to fast with the group, right, and see if they can do a day or a few days, or really just see as long as they can go? What would you say to the people kind of new to it?
Well, I would say join our group and take it one day at a time. So I've helped multiple people who wanted to fast, who've never fasted before. Their first fast was 2 weeks.
Wow.
They loved it. Because once they were in it, they loved it. And I was able to help them through the first few days when it was hard. And then it became so easy, so fun. They loved it. And it forever changed their lives. So I don't want to create arbitrary restrictions. Like, oh, no, you should do a half day and then work your way up. Because, again, the first 3 days are always the hardest. So you're like, I'm just going to do 1 day. Great. And I'll do 1 day again. Okay, great. Okay, now I'll do 2 days. Okay, great. Now I'll do 3 days. Great. Well, you just spent 6 days doing the hardest stuff when you could have just done 3 in a row, that kind of thing. But at the same time, I don't want people to feel like they're a failure if it's too hard for them for whatever reason, because sometimes they might get hit really hard with that detox. Like they're going to feel sick or something else. So they want to come out of it. That's fine. They might need to do something differently. They might need to prepare differently. And we can go over that. So the effort is what really matters. Hey, I tried to fast. Maybe you only did fast half a day, but you know what? You were successfully intermittent fasting. You set yourself up for not eating until noon. I personally like to eat in the morning because I wake up kind of hungry, and then I stop eating in the evening and I go to bed with my stomach empty and I sleep better. But my partner, she won't eat until 1 o'clock, and her last meal is like 4 or 5. She's been intermittent fasting for 20 years, and at least I think 24 years she's been continuously intermittent fasting. But there are some people who advise against that. So for me, fasting is a spiritual thing that you can do, and it's very empowering. You connect with yourself and you learn who you are and what part of you is telling you, like, for example, that you're hungry versus habits or other things. So you start to learn like what your voices are, which ones are you and which ones aren't you. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is very cool.
And you also learn what areas you want to change. You're like, wow, like, because if you have, for example, a caffeine addiction, that can be really hard. If you have a sugar addiction, it can be really hard. If you have different addictions, different chemicals and stuff, that's really hard. So maybe going a little bit cleaner will help. If you're already really clean, then fasting can be a lot easier. But again, I work with people who I didn't think they were less all because they just eat junk food and everything like that. And they had an amazing time. And it was really empowering and really fun for them. And they fast multiple times a year now.
Very cool. Yeah, so there you go. That's a beautiful answer. Just don't put any limits on yourself. That sounds like the wisest thing to do. Yeah, you never know. I would say if you do have a really intense situation, I mean, maybe you got some stuff in there that needs to get out, bro. You know, like, yeah, I mean, probably everyone here that would apply to, I would imagine.
Yeah, and I think this is a good opportunity to kind of segue into the other thing that I do a lot of, which is trauma integration work. And this is interesting too, is that our fat doesn't just store toxins, it also stores emotions. And so I mentioned earlier that I met a woman who had the cure for trauma. And for me, I had a lot of different stuff happen in my life. Nothing like super bad, but a lot of different things. I had some bad relationships when I was young, which made it hard for me to trust women. I had I had multiple near-death experiences, and also I did some stuff that I had some like really big things I wanted to do that were like people were depending on me, and it didn't work out, and I had a lot of shame. And so those different things that happened in my life had me so afraid of trying certain things in my life that I wasn't living my full potential anymore. I was afraid to try certain things, or I'd get angry really easily. And so this work, it's really cool. I'll explain why and how it works. But basically, anything that's happened to us, there is a way to release it from us. And it first comes understanding that I'll create a scenario that maybe some of you can relate to. Is say you're a child and you're in a grocery store and you want something and your mother's like, no, we don't have money for that. If you don't know what money is, or you don't understand that financial situation or whatever, or if it's like food and she just says no to you, you're being denied something that you need, that can create in people a sense of unworthiness or scarcity or not good enough. And that will manifest for the rest of their life. So they'll be afraid to ask for what they need. They'll be afraid to try different things, or they won't think that they deserve things that they do need. And so that is stored in our body the same way a fear of something would be stored in our body. So like we're programmed all the time. We have all these different programs running in us. And I'm saying how programs work is important because you can reprogram yourself. So for example, say that you're a rattlesnake jumps at you when you're young and you dodge, or your mother pulls you away, like you'll forever have this like kind of fear of rattlesnakes. And that's good. You have that natural response. You see one, you jump, you run away. And that happens when we don't have context for what was going on. So that same thing could have happened if your mother would pull you away from a bunny rabbit. You know, this irrational fear of bunny rabbits or whatever else, because adrenaline was going, you didn't have the proper care you needed afterwards to integrate that experience. So it's stored in us as an automated response. And when we see this, we go into fight, flight, or fight, flight, or freeze. And that can happen with anything. It's very easy to have this happen to us. And so we're able to reprogram these triggers or these responses. Some people call them life shocks. I heard that one the other day. And we can reprogram them so that maybe instead of feeling fear of a bunny rabbit, we now feel love or whatever emotion you want. And so this is work that I often work with high performance people who are trying to get to the next level in their life. They're kind of like at a roadblock and they don't know what else to do. So we started doing some childhood trauma work, and it's really neat. It's really neat how trauma works. We've had people who couldn't get pregnant, and it turned out they had trauma, and it released the trauma and they got pregnant after like in vitro, like more than a decade of doing work to try and get pregnant. Couldn't do it. Found out they had fear of being parents, or the woman had a fear of being a mother, and she didn't think she could be a good mother and all this kind of stuff. And she released all that fear, and she got pregnant that month. Yeah, I have countless stories around it. But one of the interesting things is that trauma for some people is stored in their fat, and they release that trauma and their weight goes away. They very quickly will transform how they look. So it's really interesting what happens. And inversely, when you're fasting and you're releasing all this weight, all these toxins and stuff, you might have a lot of stuff come up that's very emotional for you. And that can be really cool, or it can be really scary. So having awareness and support can be really, really helpful to get through some of these experiences. Just like the people I mentioned earlier, like put their feet in the ground, reconnected with earth and cried and has like that experience. It's like, these are things that we should be experiencing on a regular basis, but because we don't, we have so much built up that when we finally like release that, a lot can come out at one time.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe that for sure. Especially in today, we have like no real healthy ways to even like everything is just so toxic by default now that there's really not any outlet. It takes a lot of boldness, I feel, for people to really be able to even exercise any type of outlet of anything like that now. I'm sure it's always been a thing, but it's just the societal climate of today. It's just not. I mean, they're just gonna use anything like that as a weakness. I know I have certain things that are kind of like compartmentalized in me. I told you a little bit about that. So yeah, I do find that very interesting. That's something that intrigues me. The mind's ability to compartmentalize and store and trauma effectively, then remove it from the conscious mind. I would say the move logically would be, even if it's kind of difficult, whatever that process is to address it would always be the best option. I think people are kind of scared of this stuff, man. Like people are scared of facing their trauma, you know?
Yeah. It can be terrifying. I mean, it's something you don't understand, it's something you don't have control. And as creatures that like to be conscious, when our trauma triggers, we actually go unconscious. Our amygdala takes over, our reptilian brain takes over, and we are unconsciously responding to these things. And that's terrifying to realize that we literally lose control. It's not a metaphor. It literally happens. People literally lose control of themselves and are on autopilot. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that to happen to me. Like it's terrifying when it does, when you realize like, wow, that wasn't me.
Right. Yeah, like even the journey of trying to find it or fully reveal it is interesting. Because I've had some stuff in my life that I didn't know was there at first. I ended up discovering different ways, but yeah, that's why I'm saying I don't even know what else there. I don't, but I do know a couple things, and I'm pretty transparent on this channel. Honestly, I say like everything about me here. I leave certain details of my familia placed aside because like protective measures, but yeah, like I would I'll just say there are certainly things about my childhood that are a trip. To even know the little bit that I know, it's really crazy. And I think that it's a very beautiful thing. We were talking the other day. I was like pretty blown away with a few of the stories you told me. And I think that that's such a beautiful thing that is used against us in so many ways. What do you think about this? You know how basically the CIA runs the mainstream media at this point since the 70s, and one of the main tactics they used in their paperwork is trauma-based mind control. I wonder if people with stored trauma are more subjected to like traumatic manipulation. Does that make sense? I don't know if there'd be a connection there, but it is one of the tactics used against us. We're traumatized across the board, right? Like 9/11 trauma. Like there's even outside of personal childhood stuff, like people have all suffered from trauma, whether they
we're in a trauma factory. I mean, modern society is a trauma factory. And so one of the things with trauma is that once we have it, our body seeks more of it. It seeks to keep having that same experience. So like, for example, if you were somebody who was cheated on in a relationship, you will find that you've been cheated on multiple times. Like you'll keep getting in relationships where you get cheated on. Or inversely, like if you were somebody who's been raped, like rape victims are generally serial raped. They don't just get raped once. They tend to get raped a lot by different people.
Wow.
And their subconscious keeps putting them in this situation where it happens. They literally manifest it. So I am a huge believer in our ability to manifest. We're always manifesting.
Mm-hmm.
But what many people don't realize is that our subconscious is what manifests for us. And so if your subconscious is traumatized, it's going to keep manifesting those same scenarios again and again and again. So clearing your trauma will allow you to manifest more of what you want in your life, not more of what you don't want in your life. And I think, yeah, people who have trauma, when you see these horrible things happening on TV and stuff, like they want that because it lets them reconnect to that emotion or that feeling or whatever it is. Because ultimately we want to feel. And a phrase that took a while to really understand is that all feelings can be good feelings. So even though like fear might feel awful or might interpret it as an awful way, you could program yourself to actually love fear or want fear. I mean, it's being a masochist. And a lot of us are masochists, and we want to feel pain. Like,
yo, dude, that's something that plagues truthers too, man. Like the truther community is the fear, bro. Like they're like, oh man, I call them grabblers, but like, oh, they own the bank, they own and they do. But it's like, oh, what are they going to do next? Oh, they're going to cut the power off. It's all over. They're going to cut. Oh, we can't have children. Oh, we're all screwed. It's like, you like it or something. Like there's a part of you that kind of likes it that isn't healthy, man. You shouldn't be so black-pilled. There's like two different ways to look at all this. It's like, oh, it's all ending. You know, I've had people like, well, how dare you bring children into this world? You know, you knowing as much as you know about the truth. Or you can look at it the other way and it's like, wow, this is actually pretty amazing. Tons of people are waking up to like an immense amount of truths all at the same time. Like a lot of truth just where you can't even keep up. Nowadays, you're going to find out like a new truth. And if you're a truther, like every few days. And now it's like, oh, let's bond together as a communities and have homesteads and homeschool and yeah, I just think that people are even like truther masochists is what I'm saying. And people should maybe realize, well, what's going on inside of me where I'm just like obsessed with being in this perpetual state of fear. It's really weird. And yeah, I think maybe that you can manifest. I think we manifest everything. So including negative things. I think we pretty much manifest everything. I believe in a creator that some things are out of our control, but he gave us the power to manifest. So I find it like, would you agree even like the last 3 years was like, and obviously without going into too much detail, but it was basically just a worldwide trauma event. That's what it was. Like for 3 years, people were just traumatized. They were just like put into a perpetual state of fear. They were told to fear their loved ones and fear what keeps them alive, like literally what keeps them alive. They were told to be scared of what keeps them alive. I can't even fathom the psychological warfare that is. And it's interesting to think that there are some avenues that could be mastered that would help bring those to the forefront and address them. And even truthers don't escape this bullet. I know this because I talk to them all the time. I hear a lot of black pill truthers.
Well, so that 3-year period, it's all about perspective. And perspective is so important. For me, it was amazing. It was so fun. It was so great. So I lived in Austin at the time. City shut down. Traffic went away. I was living on a 200-acre farm, homesteading, and I can get anywhere, do what I wanted to do. I had, it was a giant unveiling for determining which of my friends were awake and which ones were not, and what we could and couldn't do. And it was amazing because it was everything I had been talking about and promoting, and it just let all that kind of stuff happen. So for me, it was a wonderful manifestation. Well, at the same time, I saw people who totally bought the story and subjected themselves to all these absurd regulations and made their lives living hell, and it didn't do anything for that time. And so for me, our reality is whatever we want it to be. And I will go down rabbit holes in truth areas for a while, and I'll realize I become depressed. But when I step away from all of that, I turn off all the media, all the news feeds, everything, and my only intake is actually the people around, the people who I interact with. Everyone I meet is like pretty great, or they're going through something, and I'm the one who can make their life a little bit better that day. So, but for the most part, humans are pretty awesome. I don't think I told you this story, but maybe I did. But I'm gonna, yeah, it's really okay. I want to share. So this trauma work I've been doing, when you get good at it, you really learn to master your emotions. And I was on the call with a client. I'm walking down the street in a neighborhood it's okay. Not very good. And anyway, there's this, I'm walking in front of these guys and they're just hanging out in front of their house. And one guy starts following me. He starts yelling at me. And I put my client on hold. I talk to him. He's like, "What's your problem, man?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Why do you really disrespect me to walk in my yard?" I'm like, "Still, I don't know what you're talking about." He's like, "Well, I'm going to get my gun and shoot you for trespassing on my property." And I could see this guy was like, he had all kinds of different issues and stuff. And I ended up just like talking with him. And at the end of it, like it was chill, and he went back and I went back to my call and I kept walking. My heart rate didn't elevate during that conversation. I literally had somebody threatening my life. I'm completely upset. I'm only wearing shorts. Like I actually have no way to defend myself. And he's like talking about getting a gun and killing me and all this. And but yet I could see that he was a traumatized individual who was like, his ego was out of control and he just needed the chance to like speak and like vent a little bit or whatever. And just talking with him, like, he ended up calming down because I didn't escalate it. And after that, I like went back to my client later. I was like, wow, like, this work is amazing, because under normal circumstances, I would have escalated that and or responded in some way. And it could have gone very, very differently. But I wasn't in a fear mindset. I wasn't afraid of stuff. So like when I watch lots of negative things, I attract more negativity. If I'm afraid of getting pulled over by the police for speeding, I'll get pulled over by the police for speeding. Like we attract whatever we focus on. So pay attention to what you focus on and how you are in the world. Have that self-awareness. So the point of that story was that I maintained myself as a stable level, assuming that all people were good people and stuff, and that like I'm here to make everybody's life better in some way. So even when I met somebody who was threatening in that kind of sense, he ended up walking away a little bit better in that, and I was completely safe and fine in that scenario. So we can live that way, and when we do, that reminds you, even like the worst people out there really aren't that bad. They might just be having a bad day. And if you really go deep with this work, you start looking at yourself. And this is what I've been doing more recently. It's relational work, but looking at, well, what were some areas in your life where you had a good intention and you caused harm to somebody else? And how many times that happened? And I was like, wow, I've hurt a lot of people with my good intentions.
That's a trip. It's a trip to think about.
And like when I look at that, I think of like Bill Gates or whatever. Is like, he reminds me of Dr. Evil. And like I like to pretend like he's trying to do good in the world or evil or whatever, but whatever he does, it's huge, it's this big idea, it's mastermind, all that kind of stuff. It never goes how he wants it to. It's just like one giant like failure after another, and it's funny in a sense. Because we got really lucky a few years ago that things didn't go as it could have, and there's been many times like that. But at the same time, I want to have compassion, because I think all of us are here wanting to have a great experience, and different things happen to us along the way, and sometimes our good intentions turn into bad ones. Sometimes we think, oh, if I had a little bit more money, I can do good in the world, or I could have this, or I could be better, or I could be happier. And we end up ruining somebody's day when we're just trying to take care of ourselves or do the right thing. And so think about how we show up and have compassion when somebody makes a mistake. And I believe that it is going to take all of us to get through everything that's coming. And that's why we're here.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And whatever that is, I don't know what it is, but I can't help but just like look at it, just think it's like a beautiful time to be alive in a way. Part of me does think like, wow, it must have been nice. Like as Owen Benjamin says, must be nice. Like to live back in the day where it was just like super chill and everyone had their own food and blah, blah, blah. And maybe they even had Antiquitech. I don't know. But something about now where it seems like there's a need for people to like, basically like a phoenix of truth is going on, right? Like we're rising from the ashes of like deception. And I think it's really cool. And I know that sounds almost lame and cliche, but it is clearly happening. You have to be very lacking in awareness not to see that. Like tons of people everywhere are like questioning pretty much everything we were told's a lie. And I think that's awesome, bro. I think that's cool. And I think that the solution is what people should focus on, right? And it's coming together, prioritizing health, realizing really what is health, what is wealth, prioritizing community, basically the next generation, you know, the cliche stuff of leaving this world a better place, but I do think that we live in a crazy time with a very like huge shift of awakening. Um, and saying that all to say that I think that community is such a big step. It really is. I think that 10 truthers are like more powerful than like 100,000 people that are willfully ignorant and like ignoring the truth, you know? And we have such power that we should definitely like what you're talking about are really two major components of life. It's really crazy. Trauma affecting us in ways we don't even intellectualize, and in health, and the fact that we're just not letting our body be healthy. And that's why I find this all very interesting. You know, I legitimately am super intrigued and like excited about the stuff you talk about, because I'm like, dude, that's a crazy duo there. You know, if you can really smooth out those two things, your entire life would change. Seemingly, you could change your entire life. So yeah, I think it's very cool, bro. I know that was like again all over the place, but I think it's a very cool vibe. I really like it. What what would you suggest for people in terms of that, right? Like what would you suggest people do? I know this is a tough question. I'm sorry in advance. It's a tough question. But like to actually find or isolate what it is in them that they may have locked away. I know it's a tough question. And I'm sorry to even put you on the spot, because there's no way there's even like an answer, right? But
No, I love that. That's where I'd love to go, because I think that all of us. All right, let me step back. I gotta answer this in a long way. I don't know what reality is. I can understand and believe multiple realities could be possible. For example, the train theory, simulation theory, globe theory, and many others. There's all kinds of combinations as well. I mean, we could be in a video game. It could be that we're actually in multiple of these things at the same time, where half of us see one thing, half of us see something else. It's like playing a video game where some people have VR headsets and other people have a 2D screen. And some people are only controlling one player from the first person, while others are doing like, it could be all these things. It's wild when you really start going into it. But I think the most empowering thing to select is that we chose to be here. We're choosing to be here right now. What's evident is that you're alive. If you don't want to be here, you can kill yourself. But you want to be here. I like to think that we opted in to play this game, and we chose whatever difficulty we chose. If it seems hard, you chose a hard difficulty because you knew or you believed that you could beat or do whatever you needed to do. And that, I think, is really empowering right there. That we all have a purpose. We chose to come here forgetting what that was. And our job is to remember and to remember and to remember again. If you have done psychedelics, you probably know what I'm talking about. This remembering and forgetting of what we're here to do. But we all have a purpose. Every one of us does. And I think that is one of the things that we're fighting against is we want to take the good versus evil perspective, is that helping us forget that we have a purpose and that we're special is very evil. And but reminding or waking up to that, and then helping others remember that too. And that I don't know if we're on different teams, and if it's humanity versus something else, or if it's humanity versus humanity, or what it is, I don't know. But how you want to play the game is up to you. But remember that you are choosing to play by waking up and playing every day. It's your life to live however you want, to play however you want. So check in. Are you playing as you want to play? Or have you kind of given up? If you gave up, why are you really giving up? Or are you just kind of like dragging along? Like, what are you doing? Like, ask yourself, like, what are you doing? And how do you feel about that? And be honest with yourself. If you're like, wow, I'm a lazy piece of shit. Be like, okay, that's where I am right now. Do I want to stay that way? Decide. Be honest with yourself. If you want to, that's fine. That's your choice. That's what you think your life is for. But if not, then go inwards a little bit and say, well, why is that? And I would say it's trauma, and that there's an opportunity to be healed. And I'm somebody who could help you. I can recommend a lot of other people who could help. If you want to know exactly what my modality is and learn about it, you can go to themindlight.com, themindlight.com. That's where I was trained. My friend Lillian Moore created, she's the founder of that. And it's awesome work. I'm happy to help us elevate through the trauma aspect. But again, I think that we all have something to do, and you might not know what it is. And you might think you do, and when you try it, you realize that wasn't it. I've done that a lot. I thought I had a lot of purpose. I've had a lot of purposes in my life, and I do one for a while, and I realize, oh, actually, it's this. Oh, actually, it's this. It's okay that it changes. Right now, my purpose is to help humanity heal its trauma and help humanity become healthy. And there's a lot of ways that looks like, but that's not me doing the work for you. That's helping you realize your place in the world so that you become a player. Because I think what's happening right now, the worst thing that's happening is that we have a lot of people not playing. They're okay with whatever happens. They just let everything happen to them. And they play the victim.
Yep.
And none of us are victims here. We're choosing whether or not we do whatever we know we need to do. And before you can help anybody else, you have to help yourself. This is where, like, on an airplane, the instructions say, before you help your kid, put your own mask on so you can breathe, so you don't pass out while helping your kid. It goes with everything else. You can't help somebody else get healthy until you've taken care of yourself. So in this sense, learn what it is to take care of yourself. Get healthy. Do whatever you need to do, however you need to do it. And once you've got it figured out for yourself, then share it with other people. And I think the most damaging people out there are the ones who refuse to do the work for themselves and they try and create community first. And that was a mistake I made. I wanted to create community when I had trauma, and I wasn't able to do it. I wasn't ready for it. And I've met a lot of other people who try to create communities, and they weren't ready themselves. Because they refused to look inward first because they thought it was selfish or wrong or whatever, or that we had our own story that we weren't worthy, we're not ready, or we have to pay our penance by helping others. And I'll tell you, no, you need to take care of yourself first. You can only be of service to others once you've been of service to yourself.
Wow, that was beautiful, bro. Yeah, I think you nailed it, man. It's hard to, but I think that you nailed the main problem, which is the vast majority of people don't play the game. They're not even playing the game. They're just here and they just accept whatever happens. And it evolves into apathy almost. So it's crazy. It's crazy, especially with the idea that you chose to be here. One thing's for sure is you choose your experience, it appears. You certainly choose major aspects of your experience here. People should definitely acknowledge that. If that's true, then you should maybe recalibrate. Yeah, that was beautiful, man.
Thank you. Yeah. So I think we're getting close to wrapping up, but I'd really love to hit home this fasting group that we're talking about, getting people who are ready to make a change in their life. I'm looking for more community. I'd love to help this one get healthier and tighter. And what do you propose? I know you have a website where you're selling Dragon's Blends, and my suggestion would be everybody who buys, give them an invite to our Telegram group, and maybe we set a fast starting next week.
Cool. Yeah, that's actually a good idea. I can keep up with it that way. I was wondering like how should we do this, but that's perfect. I'll shoot them the Telegram. I can shoot them the Telegram to the website, and then yeah, next week works for me. When do you want to start? And then well, we can talk obviously outside of here, but we name of a Telegram, but that doesn't really matter. And then we can decide if you want it to be, if you think it should be private or public. I'm pretty chill about any of it, but so what is today?
I think that the group should be invite for those who purchase from you as an incentive. And I mentioned I'm going to offer a lot of gifts to everybody who joins up. So I think it'll be really fun and a really good experience for people. And it could just be the our summer fast. So I recommend we have like 3 or 4 fasts a year, and that's what this one should be. And it'd be a great experience for everybody, whether you last half a day or 2 weeks or whatever you do. Maybe you'll pull a Moses and do 40.
Yeah, very cool. I guess yeah. Just if they go order, we'll just have to make sure we get it out to them ASAP, obviously. Before
I think anybody who orders in the next 3 or 4 days should be able to have it ready to start in about a week.
Yeah,
that's my suggestion.
that work. Cool. So today's the first Thursday. Let's do it next week. I'm cool with that. And then we can iron out any other specifics. So I dropped the website that I have his blends on. They're dope. Dragon blends are on there. EthericState.com. I dropped the link for you guys. And yeah, I think this would be super cool. A bunch of people fasting and then basically building off of each other's experience. I think it could be a really powerful thing. Cool, brother. Anything else you wanna talk about?
Oh my God, I have so many things I'd love to go down with you, but I think what I'd love to talk about would be what to talk about next time. Some really fun topics I think your audience would enjoy, or at least I know I enjoy. I talk about consciousness and perspectives. Perspectives are really cool. So I'll talk about that quickly right now because that has to do with holistic healing and how to look at it. I believe there's 4 perspectives to our reality. There's and people, you'll meet them. Some people only live from one perspective, but you can learn to actually hold multiple perspectives at one time. So you have your individual subjective perspective. This is very common for women. Their reality is based on how they feel and how others make them feel. You have the individual objective perspective, where we come to all our conclusions based on what we see, and we try and dominate our feelings or not feel. So it's like, oh, I see this. This is therefore, or you did this, and then we create our own conclusions around that. There is the group cultural or group subjective perspective, which is often like religious or culture. And people will look at their reality based on good and bad, based on what their culture told them is good or bad. Or there's the societal group objective, which is what we have or don't have, and where we rank in there. And you'll see this a lot too with like wealthy people, status, the things they have, that kind of stuff, and how they feel and interact. Not how they feel, but rather like they base their success on what they have, what they don't have. It's a very objective. Again, it's objective, but it's materialistic.
Right.
And having awareness of these different perspectives, for a long time, people would argue about which one is real or whatever. And Ken Wilber is the one who realized that actually all 4 of them are valid. And you can hold all 4 of them. You can converse with anybody. there's actually languages even around this. For example, Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg. If you dissect it, you realize that he talks from all four perspectives. It's like, when I see you do this, I feel this. My need for this is or is not being met, and this is my request. And so he's speaking from those four perspectives, and in doing that, it allows you to connect with somebody who's stuck in a single perspective.
Wow.
So that's
pretty
layer.
intriguing.
Yeah. It allows us to start connecting and communicating better when we realize these things. Because sometimes you'll be talking to somebody, you're like, I cannot have a conversation with this person. It's so frustrating. You just don't see my person. Like, I show them this, but it doesn't matter. Like, no matter what I show them, it doesn't matter, because they're totally subjective based on their feeling state. And so realizing that lets you shift so you can have a connection with them. And then consciousness is even more fun, because there's all these levels of consciousness that we can evolve, we can ascend to. And these are really fun topics for me, because when most of them, all the lower stages of them, have to do with people getting stuck in their own perspective and only surrounding themselves with people who have the same perspective, and not being able, and only seeing other people who have a different perspective as other, or they, or them, or as wrong. And when you realize that we are all holding seeds of the truth, and that everything we say is a partial truth and a partial lie, unintentionally, it creates some really unique situations also. It does open your mind up a lot more, and it allows you to have a lot more compassion. But when you realize that all those perspectives are valid, that's when things become really interesting.
That is interesting. Yeah, that's a lot to digest. I have to think about that.
So, yeah, Ken Wilber is really fun if you enjoy that kind of stuff. If you're interested in society, or if you're somebody who's interested in creating an organization that kind of embodies this stuff, I would check out the book Reinventing Organizations. That one is giving me a lot of hope in the world. When we see all the different evil things that are happening and we want to figure out how to change them or transform them, it's about creating living organizations, ultimately, that are purpose-driven. So we were talking about purpose earlier. It's exciting if you think about, we can actually embody a purpose into an organization and let that organization run on its own. And it's the organizations tend to be very community-centric. And they are the most agile, fastest growing, most powerful, most efficient type of organization there is once it's created, because it's based on a living organism, which is the most efficient creation that we can think of. So learning about that, if you're entrepreneurial at all, I think will greatly increase your chances of being successful and having a large impact in the world. When I say you, I'm talking to the viewer and you. But yeah, it'll give you some really great ideas for how to instill change in the world. And I think it'll give us a layer of optimism in what we can do as a community.
That's very cool, yeah. That sounds right up my alley right there, man. Sounds like, yeah. Because I'm like constantly trying to think in my mind, like, I used the phrase glitch the matrix, but same type of idea. It's like some type of organization. I started something called Odd at NASA, and it is a lot like that. It's a very organic, purpose-driven. It's actually purely volunteer. So, but it's very cool. I can feel it. Like I can feel the energy of it. So yeah, everything you were just describing is very fascinating. I'm very interested in that as well. You're like just spilling gravy out over here, man. You gotta chill.
Yeah, I've lived a lot of different lives, and I love sharing it, and I love replicating what I've learned and discovered, and having other people be able to have those same experiences too.
Very
So,
cool, brother.
we are in the greatest time to be alive. I agree with you. And anybody who disagrees, they need to change the channel, because there's some great beats out there.
Yeah, I agree. Exactly. That's well put. It's all just about how you look at everything. Well, cool, bro. So we'll do the community fast. We'll do it like next week. And everyone go to Etheric State, and you can check out the blends there. And yeah, if you get them in the next few days, I'll get them sent to you super quick, and then you'll have them in time, and we'll all just I will send you the Telegram, and we'll all just kind of do it together. Community fast. Very cool idea. I'm like very excited about doing that. All right. Well, I don't want to keep you too long, bro, as I did tell you 2 hours, and we've hit that mark.
Yeah, this was fun. All right.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, my pleasure, brother. Thank you so much for coming on, and hopefully we'll just have you on soon in the future, because you were a hit according to the chat, so it's not just me. So cool.
All right, check it out later.
All right,
see y'all.
later,
Thank
brother.
you.
Much love. Nice. That dude is just ladling gravy. All right, what up, chat? Disorder community fast would be lit. Nice. Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be super cool. And like, if you guys know anything about me, I don't like promote anything I don't believe in, to the extent that I've like turned down like lots of money offers for stuff I don't believe in, like video game advertisements on the channel and stuff. So I think this is pretty incredible. It's pretty dope. I have some in here right now. You know, like I drink it all day, every day. So it's very cool. Another fire guest. I agree. Very cool. Dude's very positive, high vibration. He was awesome. Agreed. How many memberships do I have to gift to get a Rentella? I don't know, man. I'm not a prostitute. 777 memberships gets you temporary mod. No, I'm just kidding. I can give you a wrench, man. Don't make it weird. All right, thank you guys for kicking it. It's I have a bunch of stuff I do want to get done over here, and unfortunately, I'm still trying to iron out the specifics of tomorrow's guest again, but it's all good. I know some people are gonna get triggered, but eventually we'll have in the field scheduled in the advance. I have some people agreeing to things in the future, but yeah. Getting on my no worries. Great show, awesome. Thank you. Thanks for a great stream. Thank you. Oh, I missed like a really generous donation. I don't want to miss it, but I realized that when I have a guest on that I kind of want to give them the floor to talk, to have the person just jump on and start like reading through them is a bit sketchy. Don't you guys agree? That's like not cool. So I had to turn it down because I don't like that. And I don't even think he could hear it. And I could have tried to share the screen through there, but I don't think he could even hear it. And it just like, but then what's happened now is I've missed a couple super chats. So I'm going to go check them real fast. And then we'll get out of here. Again, it's Etheric State. Do you guys like the new camera angle? And I'm using my iPhone, and I feel like the camera looks way better. So I'm just using my iPhone. EthericState.com, and you can get the 4 different types. There's the electrolyte blend, fire and coal, the coal, and I think they're all awesome, and as well as just the fire. And fire and coal and activated charcoal blend, the coal blend, very dope. They're all dope. They're all on the website. Different sizes. You get 200 servings or 400 servings. Different sizes. They're like huge discount on the website there. So yeah, cool. I think it's very cool. And imagine just like kind of making it a reoccurring regular thing that you do, that you fast and you have this little glitch. Thank you for donating membership, Setneck. I saw you do it a couple times earlier as well. Thank you, brother. FE Nation. This is good. My wifey was in the earshot and recommending fasting to her, so it's good for her to hear you discuss it too. What up, Adam? That's what's up. This is a good angle, Austin? Or the discount already applied? Yep. All right. I love you guys. No one else knows about that site, but well, give that man a wrench. Yeah, I know, low-key, because he, I'm guessing, like, is always here, and is kind of an OG, so I'll make him. But mods, sometimes people get like mod happy, you know, trigger happy from the mod position. Cool. High vibration, think it's very cool. Fasting, the truth is, clearly your environment and your metaphysical state, your vibration, your intentions, your beliefs, your energies, like the way you treat other people, your pursuit of truth, what your purpose is, being comfortable with your purpose, what vibrational resonance that you exist within, are all going to directly affect your health. Constantly consuming all kinds of poisonous and basically chemically engineered weapons to keep you addicted and sick in this perpetual state of illness, running through the loop of the sorcery that is modern pharmakeia, is something that anyone that's began to awaken to a lot of lies, whether you're recently a person that seems like they had the veil pulled off their eyes to see the truth, or if you've been a truther for 5 years, 10 years, whatever, and you're starting to realize the rabbit holes are deeper than ever. Clearly, massive awakening going on all fronts right now, to such an extent that they're clearly, they being the powers that be, are somewhat threatened by it, right? And they have very erratic, impulsive behavior in response, it seems, right now. All that to be said, I think that the solutions are very, very clear. They're abundantly clear, and it's take power of your health back, and what you realize, it's not like some magical formula that you need to consume. Here's a potion and a pill no, it's like your body is incredible fast, and I think that what's so cool about the blends is it helps you like sustain the fast. It helps you replace water. I'm not as much replace water, because water is incredibly important, but it helps you replace any alternative beverages with water, and you have complete hydration, and it helps sustain you. You don't need food. It's very cool. It's very cool. So, and I'm not just saying that. I mean, I gave my dad some. I told him, yeah. I told him they could help him with some stuff he's got going on. So I think we may be amazed that if we just fast, say you just drink your electrolyte mix that helps give your body that fix it needs when you get hungry, and then you're fasting, and then, your psoriasis goes away, this different symptom you had goes away, this starts to heal itself, blah, blah, blah. Your migraines go away. Like, I don't know. I think it's incredible what the body will do if we imagine how powerful we could be as a community if we began to like somewhat frequently fast, certainly as a group, with like similar missions in mind and goals in mind, like audit NASA, the vibration and focus and all that. I just think that it's one of the most powerful hidden secrets ever. So you guys get it. You saw the show. I don't want to just rant about it. So shout out to my boy Stephen Dragon coming on. Very cool. I think he's a very genuine guy. I like his vibration. We just naturally kicked it off, or hit it off when we talked. So I knew it would be cool to have him on. Again, ethericstate.com is where you can get it if you want to be a part of the community fast. I guess later next week. I'll drop the link in the chat again, but it's also in the description. So very cool. I'll get it out to you guys and try to get the guest for tomorrow night. I'll be on Bro Sanchez Saturday. I'll have Witsit biscuits and gravy Sunday morning 10, and then Glow Busters in the afternoon 3 p.m. Eastern. Cool. All right. Thank you guys for kicking it. I have a lot of things I need to do. I need to get up pretty early as well. So thank you, Austin. I needed this. Awesome to hear. I feel sick if I don't eat, but I use a lot of energy. Laying around doing nothing, yeah, go ahead and fast. You're not needing to eat as much. Well, I do intermittent fasting, and I don't just lay around and do nothing. So great show, Austin. Thank you. I would say, I saw someone in the chat say like that they know someone who says fasting's bad for you and you have to eat a minimum of every 5 hours. That's like the most insane thing I've ever heard. Like, to go as far as to say it's bad for you is actually insane, right? But anyway, the Messiah fasted, as did like basically everyone throughout history that was ever alluded to be some type of spiritual guide or guidance. Of course, I give exclusivity to the Messiah, but even beyond that, I personally know people who were diagnosed with cancer and got rid of it from fasting. So I'm going to have to strongly disagree with you there. I love you guys. Thanks for kicking it. Austin only responds to my so-called negative comments. I don't know what other comment you're talking about, but that seems to be pretty much every one of them that I've ever seen you type. All right, thank you guys for kicking it. Seek and speak truth unequivocally. The weak find contentment in the consensus of ignorance. So who cares what other people think? Take your power back with many different ways. Wake up to truth. Prioritize health and wealth. And I think family equates to wealth. And you have more power than you realize that you do, both mentally and spiritually. There's this beautiful metaphysical connection within you between your physical body, your mind, your intention, what people call your soul, which seems to be the glue. And I would say get right with Yah. You know, that's what I think and believe, of course. You guys know that. Yeah, the one true creator, as I see it. And I think that even I can grow in a lot of areas. I think I can grow fasting, and I'm the idea I have is maybe we can all come together and grow and keep on building, and then okay, let's help our children out with homeschooling, blah blah blah. Really making a difference in many different facets of life. So I won't start ranting and pretending I'm saying bye. Thanks for kicking it, and Trouble and Tribune, shout out to my boy. What's up, brother? Thanks for being here. Like I said, just always be a messenger of truth no matter what happens. And when they revile you for his name's sake or for the truth's sake, rejoice, which is kind of hard to fully grasp or take in. And I say it a lot. I think it goes unnoticed. But when you get reviled and when you get attacked for truth, not just be strong and persevere, not just like don't get upset, not just it's okay, rejoice. That's deep, bro. That's profound, which is why I say it. So when you get attacked for his name's sake or for the truth's sake, rejoice, for they did it to all the prophets before you. What's popular is not true. What's true is rarely popular. So what's it matter what everyone thinks? Thank you guys for kicking it. I'll talk to you guys hopefully tomorrow, if everything works out. Till next time, much love, familia. Peace.
That's for Israel. Wonder is it real? Rappers acting say they high, say they simple pills. Glorify suicide so they get the deals. Big pharma set it up, had to flip the pills. Control the music industry until the scripts get filled. Geopolitically, yeah, we in the field. That's for Israel. Wonder is it real? Took the way you there's a surplus, but they tell us there are shortages. Credit economy mortgages, dollar that's supported with empty fortresses. But what's important is this: we port in ships, important gifts, of course it is. But extortion is in accordance with an assortment list of foreign tricks, we ignoring which informant this, informant this. It looked like we were snoring tricked. Pedophilia and the government endorsing it. Yeah, eugenics is exactly what abortion is. You just vilify those insubordinate. Way to matrix engineer, that's unfortunate. Geopolitically we in a field that's for Israel. Wonder is it real? Rappers actors say they high, say they sip with pills. Glorify suicide so they get the deals. Big pharma set it up just to flip the pills. Control the music industry until the scripts get filled. Geopolitically, yeah, we in a field that's for Israel. Wonder is it real?